Her life was turned around when she found out she had breast cancer. She went to a doctor for a regular checkup. Then it turned into tons of tests and operations. If she found out she had breast cancer earlier, before it became too serious, she would likely to be alive today. So guys, it is important to know about breast cancer so that many lives can be saved with only a knowledge of awareness towards the most women's enemy until today. Breast cancer is the most common form of cancer affecting women in Malaysia. About 1 in 19 women in this country are at risk, compared to 1 in 8 in Europe and the United States. Breast cancer occurs when a malignant or cancerous tumor started in the breast. As breast cancer tumors mature, they may metastasize or spread to other parts of the body. The primary route of metastasis is the lymphatic system, which, ironically enough, is also the body's primary system for producing and transporting white blood cells and other cancer-fighting immune system cells throughout the body. Metastasized cancer cells that aren't destroyed by the lymphatic systems, white blood cells, move through the lymphatic vessels and settle in remote body locations, forming new tumors and carry on the disease process. Mostly when they are diagnosed, there will be different stages such as stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3. But it is not as simple as that. It is beyond the complication actually. And there comes the term of EMT. So what is it really? EMT is the term that stands for epithelial mesenchymal transition. In a process known as epithelial to mesenchymal transition, normal epithelial cells lose their cell-to-cell adhesions, become elongated and migratory, resulting in the mesenchymal phenotype, which means that they could get to places where they shouldn't be, like blood vessels and other part of the body, and then metastasize. Studies have been carried out to understand its EMT behavior, for example, Raman spectroscopy, SEXS spectroscopy, and FTIR, and all physical measurements that it had done. But there's one thing that haven't been done yet, which is what I'm going to do. What I'm going to do is that I'm going to use neutron activation analysis or NAA to trace the elements inside the breast tissue, specifically in the EMT regimen. How does this machine work exactly? Let me tell you. The basic principle of NAA is from the name itself, is the neutron capture, where the neutrons are irradiated at the sample and interact with the nucleus inside the sample. So right after the nucleus receives the neutron, it will undergo excitation that decays faster to the lowest energy state. During the transition to the lowest energy level, it will emit prompt gamma radiation that has a very high energetic range up to 11 mega electron volt. Then the nucleus can either be a stable nucleus or a radioactive nucleus. The radioactive nucleus is where the NAA works with. Normally, the radioactive nucleus decays through the beta-minus decay, which means a beta-minus particle is emitted. A cascade of gamma rays is afterwards also emitted, and it is called delayed gamma radiation. NAA works with the delayed gamma radiation, and the information that is gained from it is the energy of gamma rays that determine the characteristics for each of the elements inside the sample. So this NAA is available in Malaysia, located at Nuclear Malaysia Bani. For my work, we examined 15 samples of breast tissues that were obtained through a mastectomy provided by the Department of Pathology, Faculty of Medicine, University of Malaya. The 15 samples consist of normal tissue, benign tumor tissue, and cancerous tissue, which have EMT and non-EMT. The number of samples were small, so they cannot be replicated, and samples must be re-irradiated in order to receive long half-life elements. Thus, some preparation must be made first, such as sample drying, sample grinding, and sample pulverizing with mortar pestle, and store in dust size in the capsules and label them accordingly. So why we use this NAA to trace the elements inside the breast tissue? For example, in this research obtained, it shows that calcium, potassium, and chloride were dominant among other elements and were the highest in concentration levels in breast cancer tissue compared to other tissue. From the previous research, it was stated that an adequately supply of calcium is necessary to sustain the proliferation of breast tissue, and that relatively high levels of calcium in benign tissue were positively associated with the risk of breast cancer. Furthermore, according to another research, they observed a rich enhancement of potassium element in cancerous tissue. They stated that these components may be accumulated as needed throughout malignancy, resulting in enhancement. As for chlorine, a lot of you must be confused by this statement, but a recent study conducted in Hartford, Connecticut found that women with breast cancer have 50 to 60% higher levels of chlorine in their breast tissue than cancer-free women. Breast cancer has been linked to accumulated amounts of fluoride compounds in breast tissue. So what can be understood from this is that a human carcinogen is a substance that creates a chemical reaction within the human body to recreate a cancer cell. However, it turns out that the level of calcium, potassium, and chlorine were the lowest in EMT breast tissue. There was a research conducted to study the pathway that triggered EMT and used calcium as indicator. This study showed that EMT-inducing stimuli caused a transitory increase the cytosolic calcium levels in human breast cancer cells. EMT caused by epidermal growth factor and hypoxia was greatly reduced when the calcium signal was attenuated by intracellular calcium chelation. As for potassium, another research was conducted in terms of reducing mortality by focusing on the key mechanisms in the development of metastasis by using potassium channel. This study stated that potassium channel can control the phenotypic switch from epithelial to mesenchymal phenotype, resulting in loss of cell-to-cell contact and increased migratory and invasive capabilities. Moreover, there was a study that stated by using chlorine in the form of nitidine chloride inhibited epithelial to mesenchymal transition. They also stated that nitidine chloride could inhibit the expression that correlated with significant changes of the expression of EMT-related markers to reverse EMT. According to these findings, nitidine chloride reduced breast cancer EMT via blocking the hedgehog signaling pathway. In breast cancer patients, improvements have been observed in their circulating levels of trace elements. Trace elements are present at small quantities, but they play a crucial role in the abundance of biochemical enzymatic reactions and have been assessed as a possible core component of multiple cancer-related human diseases. Hi, I'm Shameera, and I guess that was all from me. Thank you for watching.